Great afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Messiah, and I have the pleasure and honor of serving as your DeKalb County District 3 Commissioner, in addition to the Chair of PECS, which is Planning, Economic Development, and Community Services Committee, alongside with my colleagues, Commissioner Ted Terry from District 6, along with Commissioner Michelle Longspears from District 2. We have the pleasure of also joining us Commissioner Ladina Bolton from Super District 7, and I do believe that Commissioner Patrick will be joining us as well as a few. Yes, he is. Yes. Our apologies for the delay. We had a robust agenda, but we will try to get through our PECS agenda as expeditiously as possibly. And if you've had an opportunity, committee members, to review our minutes from our June 24th committee, please, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Minutes look good. So it's time I'll approve our motion to approve item 0987.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. All right, we have two presentations scheduled today. The first, well, actually, we are going to start with our appointment before we get into the presentation. So the appointment is the agenda item 2025-0926, all commission districts, and it is for the appointment of Mr. Jim Durrett to post 6 of the Development Authority of DeKalb County, post 6 of the Residential Care Facilities, the Elderly Authority, and post 6 of the Private Hospital Authority. And I believe that Mr. Durrett is there in the background. Feel free to approach Mr. Durrett, and welcome to our PECS committee meeting. Thank you so much. All right, so we have just a couple of quick questions for you, but if you wouldn't mind, just start, telling us a bit about yourself, and then the committee members and the rest of the commissioners will ask you just a couple of quick questions. So I want to give you an opportunity first to introduce yourself and share anything you would like for us to hear.
Sure. I wish I'd prepared. I've lived in DeKalb County for 30 years. I'm in unincorporated DeKalb County near Claremont Road and I-85. For my profession, I run 2 different organizations, the Buckhead Community Improvement District and the Buckhead Coalition. I also am a DeKalb County appointee to the MARTA board currently. And I think that's all I'll share with you right now, unless you want to know anything else.
I appreciate that initial share. And so I will just jump in with a couple of quick questions, and then again allow everyone else to ask whatever questions they see fit as well. So could you tell us, as DeKalb County grows, how can the Development Authority and the Hospital Authority work together to ensure that residents have a long-term access to high-quality health care and residential care facilities?
Well, this is the first time I've heard that that the hospital and elderly care posts were included in this, but I'm fairly familiar with the Development Authority, and I understand that they're responsible for economic development, workforce development, and considering any perhaps tax abatements that ought to be granted for development in the county. And I would suspect that if there's going to be any additional hospital facilities or elderly care facilities, that they would come to the Development Authority to understand together how they would cooperate in order to advance those facilities for the benefit of the citizens of DeKalb County.
I appreciate that, and also appreciate the candidness in terms of initially not, necessarily thinking in terms of, working collectively with the the Development Authority, but apparently they are going to work in concert. So I appreciate that, that answer and that response. I'll ask another one and then leave it to my other colleagues as well. Please, let's see. What role should stakeholders and the public play in shaping large development projects? Okay. And I think that's more, we're going to tweak that a bit. And so this is something that was provided to us. We're going to tweak that a bit because it seems like your focus is specifically, related to the hospital authority and more on that. But just realizing there's an opportunity to work together with development, in DeKalb County. So is there anything else that you would like to share in terms of your qualifications related to the elderly authority and hospital authority, like additional qualifications that you believe that you bring to or skills?
I would say that in terms of elderly care, I have served on the board of nonprofits who have had affordable housing and homelessness as their focus. So I'm pretty familiar with those kinds of facilities and what are required. Okay. I also, I'll share that my parents spent the last part of their lives in an elderly care facility, so I became very familiar with that particular one. I would say that I've lived a long life. I've experienced a lot. I know a lot of people. I'm very familiar with a lot of policy, and I'm sure that I could handle discussion and consideration of whatever came before me effectively.
And I appreciate that. All right, so I won't monopolize the time, and we'll open it up to my other committee members. Commissioner Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see you again, Mr. Durrett.
Good to see
Thank you for your service on the MARTA board for many years. I am really interested, I did not know this about you. You mentioned that you're involved in the Biophilic Institute, Georgians for Passenger Rail, the Georgia Conservancy, and PEDS, which I think PEDS just combined with
Rebecca Cerna's
with the now Propel Atlanta, which is also, they do work in DeKalb. So when it comes to economic development and transit, trail connection, mobility that are non-automotive focused, we've recently approved our Trail Master Plan, which is an amazing, vision of connecting all of DeKalb County, north to south, east to west. And but one thing that we haven't really kind of honed in on is this concept of trail-oriented development. So something that would actually create housing and commerce and grocery stores and schools and parks all connected through the trail network. Do you think that in your role on Decide DeKalb Development Authority that you could, that you would focus on that type of development, or at least move forward the idea of car-dependent development models?
I understand your question. I believe my responsibility as a board member would be to consider whatever is brought to that body by stakeholders or by staff. And my job would be to analyze what is being proposed and to determine whether or not action by the Development Authority would benefit that appropriately, depending upon what the county is trying to accomplish. And I applaud what you say about the importance of a robust trail network. I happen to be personally committed to trying to advance a robust trail network throughout all of metropolitan Atlanta, because I feel if we do not do that, we're going to be strangling on our growth. And so I think that's very important. And I would say that marrying up a trail network with public transportation together is what's required. I think that a trail network is really necessary for electric bicycles, which I believe in the future is going to be a technology that will be embraced by many, many, many more people, and has to be.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of a roundabout answer to your question, but I'd be really interested to see what is proposed for taking advantage of the trail network.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Long Spears.
Hello, sir. So good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for being with us today. I do have a question for you. What do you believe are the most impactful economic development opportunities within DeKalb County? How do you plan to advise the Development Authority Board regarding such opportunities?
I would say that we need to look for opportunities to do adaptive reuse of mainly commercial properties for mixed-use development that creates walkable opportunities and opportunities for commerce as well as residences, and focusing on where in DeKalb County we've got existing MARTA lines, whether it's bus or rail, or bus rapid transit as we develop it in the future. So those, I think, are the highest priority opportunities. But I need to know what the comprehensive development plan is, what the zoning is that's been put in play, and make sure that we're consistent with that vision and not just one-off decisions depending on who comes in the door.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, is that we certainly need to have a comprehensive vision of what we're trying to realize in this community in the long term. So thank you very much. I yield back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Long Spears, and I appreciate the thought about not having one-offs, but making sure that it's a comprehensive plan that's just going to work well collaboratively. Commissioner Patrick, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jim, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
As DeKalb County grows, how can the Development Authority and the Hospital Authority work together to ensure that residents have, wait a second, that's your question.
Yes.
Asked and answered.
Man. Okay, well, I'm going to go back to number one. Please tell the committee about yourself and briefly describe how your previous experiences qualify you for these boards.
Well, I have been involved in policy realms ranging from the arts to real estate development and just about everything else in between. And I just believe that my experiences there are going to give me a great perspective to understand complex situations and how to solve complicated problems. So that's another answer to that question.
A wealth of experience for the benefit of the residents again.
Of DeKalb County, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Bolton?
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. And it's a pleasure meeting you. I think this is my first time meeting you, Mr. Durrett. I will say you do have a plethora of experience, and I see you've done a lot in the city of Atlanta with the ULI in Atlanta, Leadership Atlanta, of course, with the Buckhead Coalition and the Buckhead community. I have a very simple question in which I love to ask candidates, and that's just, can you share your interest in serving? What piques your interest to want to serve here in DeKalb County?
It's my home. And I want my home to be the best place for everybody to raise a family. And the fact that I've worked at businesses, at institutions in the city of Atlanta, a good number of them are not just city of Atlanta, it's metropolitan area. I do a lot of work volunteering with the Atlanta Regional Commission, for instance, to help them with their deliberations and make decisions that will benefit everybody and not a particular jurisdiction. But DeKalb County is my home.
Thank you so much for that answer. I yield back.
Thank you so much. And I believe that Commissioner Terry has a follow-up for you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Jim, I just wanted to follow up on, because I referenced the Biophilic Institute.
Yes.
And so I was just curious, what was your role there?
I was on the board of the Biophilic Institute and the treasurer of the board, and was one of the founders of the Biophilic Leadership Summit, which is an annual summit that's held down at Serenbe.
Okay, gotcha. And when it comes to development projects, proposals, funding things, ideas that will come before the board, how important is it for you to, not only look at the economic development numbers and impact of that, but these other sort of maybe they might seem less tangible, like we talked about walkability or things that maybe folks might not really know about, like human-centered design or incorporating nature. And actually the, like in the biophilic movement is about, there's a lot in nature that we can replicate in our development. And then another little slice of that is art. You mentioned involvement in art. So I see so many development projects go up around Atlanta, and I feel like now the default is to require some public art component to these massive developments that are hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. And so I'm curious sort of on that environmental piece as well as the art piece, how would you kind of inform projects that would come before you with measuring those metrics in the overall project?
I understand the question, and I agree with the sentiments that it's important that whatever is going to be built should aspire to be the best environment for whoever is going to be occupying it, visiting it, for the whole person, and not just, okay, it's a green building or energy efficient building. But I honestly don't know yet the process by which I would be allowed to ask those kinds of questions. I need to go and listen and learn before I would be able to say, this is the kind of influence that we could impose upon an applicant.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you don't want to prejudge what you might be hearing, but I think that where your mind is you care about the environment, you care about people, you care about, you're obviously here, a DeKalb resident, so you care about good products and projects for the county.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We won't keep you too much longer, Mr. Durrett. We certainly appreciate your time, and we will get back to you. But thank you so much for spending a large part of your afternoon with us, even later than expected. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be with you.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
We're going to try to get through just a couple of our agenda items before we start. We'll go back to our discussion. And with that, if you're following along, our next agenda item, starts on page 2, and that is agenda item 2025-0841, all commission districts. Contract number 133051, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity for Career Training Services, Youth Contract, second renewal for use by WorkSource DeKalb. This contract consists of providing career and readiness training to youth participants within the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. This request seeks to ratify the previously provided contract terms and to exercise, again, a second renewal option, but this through June 30th, 2026, awarded to the Door LLC with an amount not to exceed $400,000. And I believe that we had someone here initially from WorkSource. Is he still with us, or did he have to leave?
Right. I think there was a state audit, quite frankly, going on that he had to get to.
Okay.
So I can attempt to answer questions, or we can have him provide answers at the board meeting if you like.
All right. And so as it relates to any questions, do any of the committee have any questions?
No, Madam Chair. I think this is sort of kind of standard. We sort of do this throughout the year, and I believe we've been working with this contractor for several years. So I'd be okay moving forward with it, and then if they want to provide information between now and the board meeting, we could get clarifying questions or comments there.
Fantastic. Yep. Second renewal. And to Commissioner Patrick, Commissioner Bolton, no questions. With that, I'll accept the motion.
Motion to recommend approval for item 0841 with some follow-up information provided by WorkSource DeKalb in the interim before the board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. The next agenda item is 2025-0810, all commission districts, change order number 4 for contract number 1258332, soil and material testing, surveying services, and structural analysis. This is a multi-year contract for use by the Department of Facilities Management, Recreation, Parks and Rec, Public Works and Transportation, and Roads and Drainage, as well as watershed management. It consists of geotechnical and geoenvironmental evaluations for the engineering and constructability and/or potential environmental risk of multiple sites throughout the county. This request is to increase funds for an additional on-call soil and material testing, surveying services, and structural analysis awarded to Matrix Engineering Group for an amount not to exceed $65,000. I'll let Dr. Ellis.
Yes, ma'am, pretty much what you said. This is for Parks to do the change order to add on to this contract for on-call soil and testing services and for structural analysis. You know, we often look at purchasing parks. We have to do environmental assessments 1 and 2 and other environmental services.
Okay, fantastic. Commissioner Terry?
Yes, I know y'all are working with the law department on the Donzie Trail. Now, is this what this is funding, or is that something separate?
This could fund it. I think we're already on top.
It's already happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think that's right, Nicole. They're working on it. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Patrick? Commissioner Belton? All right. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor?
Are all,
I'll accept the motion, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Motion to approve item 0810.
I second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next, again, still on page 2, is 2025-0908, Commission Districts 4 and 6, approval of Needham Park Master Plan located at 756 McClendon Drive, Scottsdale, Georgia, 30079. In your neck of the woods, Commissioner Terry?
Yeah.
Director Ellis?
Yes, I asked Caleb Whittemire to come up and
Okay.
present this to you. It's one of 4, I believe. We got 3 more in the hopper, then we'll
Yes.
call up.
Yes.
Great. Good afternoon, Commissioners,
Good afternoon.
Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to present this one. We're hoping to do a few more, but wow, we have Needham for you today.
You ready?
Do we have that pulled up?
Oh, looks like it's stuck on the, oh, wait.
Fantastic.
And they're on the screen, so they're not on our screens in front of
Can you
us,
see 'em?
but we
Sorry.
have printout that's being distributed to us now. Thank you so much. You can continue.
Great. Needham Park serves District 4 and Super District 6. The goal of this plan is to enhance the park to better meet the recreational needs of the surrounding community and the Friends of Needham Park Group. As with many of our parks, this is a small neighborhood park with an enormous amount of potential that I think we realized with the community when we did this master plan. It was originally developed in 2019 in partnership with Park Pride. The plan was shaped by a robust public engagement process. Over 3 community meetings, residents emphasized the importance of preserving the park's natural character, improving access, promoting safety, and environmental education. Some of the key themes that emerged out of these meetings were preservation of natural habitat and forested areas, creation of a trail network, restoring the stream that bisects the park, improved park entrances, and accessibility enhancements for those with mobility challenges. Feedback also guided us to prioritize a natural aesthetic for many of the new park amenities. Here you see the final vision plan highlighting some of the key themes that I just mentioned. As you can see on the north part, there's a trail system on the north. The south end also has a trail system. The north end being ADA accessible trail. The stream restoration project runs through the center of the park and will be the focal point of the park once it's completed. We have improved park entrances with a pedestrian crossing at McClendon Drive, and habitat restoration and invasive species control will happen throughout the park. And so the original project estimate was from 2019 was approximately $827,410. which has since been updated to $1,075,633. That reflects the current costs in 2025. In summary, this plan balances conservation and community use, creating a park that is both welcoming and ecologically responsible. We're super excited to move forward with these community-driven improvements to Needham, and I'm happy to say that we have probably 75–80% of this development funded, and construction will start really soon. We were happy to get that funded through ARPA funds, and District 4 Park Bond funded some of that as well.
I have a quick question.
Fantastic. In one quick second, Commissioner Terry. All righty, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so you said you have it mostly funded?
Yes, the money we had didn't fund the entire development of the park. Yeah.
Okay, so help us understand what y'all do. Do you just wait to get the 100%, or do you try to do phasing? What are we going to do for this one?
Depends on the project. I think we were lucky enough to leverage ARPA funds that we had with the stream restoration project, and then combine that with the District 4 Park Bond Fund.
Okay.
So that allowed us to basically do the entire development of the park. That also happened at Cedar Park as well.
right.
But for the most part, we try to phase them in.
Okay.
As
So the
as funding becomes available.
The $1,075,000. You got it.
Yeah, I think the actual project budget is 1.4, something like that.
Gotcha. Okay, so
Yeah.
other things that weren't part of the master plan.
Correct, yeah.
That would be added on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great to hear. It's good to hear that there was. I mean, I will say District 6 commissioner before me used all her park bond money, so I got nothing to work with. But District 4 had some, so that's
We
great.
appreciate the support.
Yes, but yeah, happy to moral support there. Okay, so I guess just in the meantime, would you mind just updating us on the timeline and, I assume were you waiting for us to approve the master plan before you move forward?
No, we weren't.
Okay, good. So you're moving forward. This is just the.
Yeah, no, we expect construction to start in the next month or two.
Okay,
So,
great. Okay. One other random thing that I noticed at the McClendon Drive at the curve, right by the guardrail, there's a variance sign that I think we put up maybe a few months ago, and it's still there. I think.
Yeah, that's been approved, so we can
Okay.
pull that down.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Commissioner Long-Spears?
No questions, but thank you for asking.
And of course, Commissioner Bolton? Commissioner Patrick? All right, thank you so much. Seeing no additional questions, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve item 0908.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And so now we're again on page 2 for the second of the third items. I guess in that cluster there, that's 2025-0876, all commission districts. And I'm sorry, I thought that was a part of that cluster there. I guess not, but we'll go ahead. 2025-0876, all commission districts, to authorize a change of fee deposit schedule part 2 of 2 used for Rex facilities. Director Ellis.
Yes, ma'am. If you remember, we bifurcated the full agenda there, fee schedule, and we broke it up to 2 parts. We're down to just the section with Recreation Center programs and then the Porter Sanford program. So we've got Cynthia Benefield and Terrence Ramsey in those 2 respective areas to go over those for you.
All right, fantastic. Great afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Madam Chair. I'm here to cover the Recreation Center program. I think the last time there was some questions relative to what we were doing or what was going on in some other areas. So I was able to put together a little piece that might give you some guidance on what the differences are.
you. Yes.
Can I just bring them up? Was it? Okay.
Thank you so much. And so I see the facilities in there, we bifurcated and have the particular camps.
I think these are the areas that were most concerned in the last meeting. And I just wanted to provide some comparisons so you can see where we are, where we currently stand. We've recommended, you can see the proposed increases on our original document, and then just a comparison of what some of the metro area departments are doing right now.
Okay. And so as it relates to the recreational center programs, when, if this, well, it would have to be the next BOC meeting, but how soon would you anticipate them, any increases being implemented as it relates to the programs itself?
Well, we would, follow the guidance of
Next season.
the board, the next season for sure, and that would depend on as we go down. Obviously, the summer camps are gone, mini camps are primarily gone. We could put some in place for our instructional basketball program, and the after-school program is due to start at the end of this month, so I don't know, it might be a little early to put that one in. It would have to be maybe early next year.
Okay, fantastic. Commissioner Commissioner Long-Spears, do you have a, Commissioner
thank you.
Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Have we considered a sliding scale? So some of our families that might attend some of these camps or after-school programs, there might be economic hardship, there might be a single parent that only makes minimum wage. How do we offset some of the increases to adjust for our constituents who might actually choose not to send their child to our camp because it's too expensive?
Currently, we have a scholarship or a voucher program, and we have requirements for that. However, we could very easily implement a sliding scale process whereby you could do a percentage, 25% of the fee, 50% of the fee, 75% of the fee, based on qualifying income levels.
Okay. Madam Chair, I would recommend we look into that. It sounds like, and just to be clear, Director Ellis, some of these fees that you're asking us, I think most of them you don't want to implement them until next year.
That's correct. They're to the next season, yes.
Next season, okay. So there's like a little bit of time, maybe the next couple of months, to just sort of work out these final rates. So if we're not like 100% ready to move forward today, y'all are okay with us continuing to work? And
Yes, no hurry on any of this.
Okay.
But one thing I will say, I've done sliding fees in the past, other places. And it's a little cumbersome gathering all the information, then wondering if the information you get is correct. Rather just keep it at a reasonable amount, take the scholarships when needed, but we'll do, whatever the consensus is.
well, could you explain the scholarships? So who pays for the scholarships?
It comes through community development. Remember some of the improvement through Alan when he gave us, I believe it's $15,000.
Okay. If we are in a world in the next couple of years where community development receives less federal funds, is it possible that scholarship money might be in jeopardy or might be reduced?
We haven't heard yet, but it's a possibility. I mean, we could always make changes in the future if that happens.
Okay. Could there be a possibility of looking into maybe a scholarship rebate, where if someone does qualify for a scholarship, maybe they just get a reduced rate? And we just and I guess it's still a sliding scale.
Yeah.
But I guess I do trust community development to kind of run, they have a standard process to verify income and prove eligibility, so maybe they could still assist with that, but then, if they don't have the funds for scholarships, maybe they can, just sort of recommend, I guess, a scholarship rebate or something, I don't know.
Normally on sliding scales, we just do, if they're eligible for free and reduced lunch, then they're eligible for the reduction. And we just put it in two different categories. We don't really do
Okay.
percentage of incomes and that sort of thing.
Okay,
But
no, I understand.
that
Yeah.
makes it a little easier if you want to do it, but sometimes that's still often difficult to get some of the information you need.
Okay. Well, Madam Chair, I would, and I have more questions on the Porter Sanford Center fees as well, but I don't want to spend all our time talking about this because I know it's not like a huge hurry. But I would just request that for the summer camp and basketball after-school programs that we maybe just get a third or a second option to consider that might be kind of in that sliding scale sort of vein of supporting our more at-risk families.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Bolton? I'm sorry, Commissioner Long-Spears? You were typing away, so I didn't want to.
I'm good, thank you, I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bolton.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am. So I just wanted to know how the rate changes or increases will impact the centers that have partnerships. For example, at the Redan Center, the Boys and Girls Club is there as well. Will those programs be impacted?
No, ma'am, not by these changes.
Okay. So which prompts my next question. I know that sometimes the Boys and Girls Club's rates may be a bit more reasonable for some of our families relative to the rates that we have, even though they aren't outlandish. With the increase, is that going to impact our center's capacity to recruit where we have similar programs, for example, the basketball, football, and some of the other programs that overlap, even though they vary just a little bit?
Based on the Boys and Girls Club program at Redan, you're saying?
Yeah,
No, not at all.
okay. So I beg to differ because I did receive a concern that most of the, well, I'm not going to say most, that there are many students who opt to participate in the Boys and Girls programs because of the rate versus Redan Center's programs. Not all, but some. Yes, sir.
The Boys and Girls Club at Redan only provides after-school and summer camp. The basketball programs and the other things are provided by the department. Only summer camp and after-school program provided by the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, and that includes some basketball.
I mean, they play basketball as part of the, I don't know that they have a league per se, but it doesn't conflict with the county basketball program, youth basketball program. That program at Redan is run by us.
Okay. And I'm sure you've discussed this already in previous meetings, but could you just iterate whether the increase will help us at minimum meet our operational need? Is that one of the reasons for the increase?
We haven't increased fees, I believe, well over 10 years. So I'd rather do them incrementally, start doing this a little more often. But no, it doesn't really, it doesn't. I mean, I don't think anything's going to be reduced if we don't do this.
Okay.
It's just, but it's the right thing to do. Keep the fees up to where we feel that they are in the market.
Okay, and I appreciate the incremental approach. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The question I have is, I know we had the joint BOE-BOC meeting, and Director Ellis, during that conversation, you and I talked about the idea of Pleasantdale Elementary in particular, having an after-school program, or, having a summer school program for next year. Would these fees be applicable to such an activity, or is that a conversation that still is being developed between us and the Board of Education?
I think we're still developing it, but we'd like to stay consistent with all of our different programs. So I believe they all run the same. Am I telling them correctly? All prices are the same at each center?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Prices are all the same. The difference is based on the concept that we talked about earlier for the Pleasantdale as more of a drop-in activity kind of thing. It wasn't a structured summer camp program similar to what we have at the other rec centers. If that was the case, we could set up a structured program and include the same fees. But I think initially the discussion was on more of a
drop-in over the summer. I guess just to copy Commissioner Terry, could you guys flesh out a couple of different scenarios, a drop-in as well as a structured summer camp over the summer? And then, since I'm asking all kinds of stuff of you guys, could you maybe also look into an after-school program that Pleasantdale Elementary might be willing to consider? Again, respectful of the Board of Education and their purview, but this would be a great opportunity. There's lots of kids in the area. Lots of kids walk up and down those streets, and Pleasantdale Road is a fairly busy road, so it seems like something like that could be beneficial.
Yeah, and I have already started those discussions initially with the school board, and it's something I've done. And when we were in Lexington, we actually did our after-school in the schools. It cut out a lot of the bus transportation issues that we had and
Yep.
other things,
Yep.
but there's other things that come along with it. And a lot of time is if the teacher's overtime pay. If we're there, we're paying them, then it's not an overtime situation.
Right.
So there's a lot involved that we have to work on with them.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Thank you for the consideration, both of you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. With that, sounds like we've got a little bit more fleshing out, that we need to do more questions. Thank you so much for your time. I will entertain a motion.
Oh, and then can we come back at the next committee meeting to talk about the Border Sanford? Is that okay, Madam Chair? Come back and finish the discussion on the amphitheater and the Border Sanford Center?
Yes, so my suggestion is if we were going to be fleshing out both of them, then we just defer the both of them and try to
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay.
And so how much time do you think?
What are the next opportunities for PECS to have discussion on this? The 22nd of August? Oh, July. Okay, are we going to be, can we do, is that too
All right.
soon?
And then I believe there's some additional questions with Pleasant Hill.
Pleasantdale.
Pleasantdale, excuse me, in terms of the after school. So how much time do you think would be necessary to have those conversations and sort of put things together and be able to, come back and answer some of the questions the Commissioner had? And Commissioner Patrick?
Madam Chair, I think that Pleasantdale might be a little bit of a longer-term
Okay.
process, so I wouldn't want to hold up this while staff is working with BOE to see what are the realms of possibility.
All righty. So would 2 weeks be fine, or would it be better if you need a little bit more, or what do you?
I think we're good for 2 weeks.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, motion to defer for 2 weeks with some additional options coming, and then, well, I guess we'll continue the discussion back then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And this item was previously approved, and and I believe Randy is, here from DeKalb, so just want to be respectful of her time and wanting very much to, is there a question, anything additional you wanted to share? No? Okay. Yeah, anything additional? Yes, come on. Yeah, just respectful of people, spending the time to come. Because I will just share, I think mine were pretty much shared earlier today, but anything that DeKalb can bring into the fold, as there was, a plan to be able to have a bit of a robust discussion. And then just, realizing some of the experiences from some other counties, and wanting to make sure that language was included. And I'm sure we'll continue to work with planning, sustainability, and legal. But please, share any thoughts, any considerations related to the data center moratorium, if you could, please, because I think it's important for everybody to work together. And I think that was one of the things that I believe that we would have benefited more from. But please do share with this committee what your thoughts are.
Sure. Hi, Commissioners. Good afternoon. We're aware of the text amendment that planning is working on, and we've provided some input to long-range planning as they're working on that. Our primary goal is just for DeKalb County to remain competitive with our peer communities as we're seeking investment in job creation projects. So if there's any specific questions I could answer.
All right, we're just getting the materials related to it, and this I think will be helpful since it was, a topic of discussion. That way we can make sure we're contributing to any additional questions, or if we have any, it may prompt that. Bragg, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here and being able to share your thoughts as well.
Absolutely. So we did prepare a brief briefing on the substance of our proposed text amendment and research. If you'd like us to start with that, maybe that would be helpful.
Yes,
to kind
please.
of set the stage. Okay.
Thank you.
This is Senior Planner Tricia Privos.
Hey, Tricia.
Hello, good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
My name is Tricia Privos. I'm the Senior Planner with the Long Range Planning Team, and I've been helping on this effort to draft a data center ordinance. So I just wanted to present to you some of the progress we've made and go over some of the issues we're looking to address and our timeline as well. So first of all, I think we've all seen the sharp increase in data centers throughout the metro area. And so we just want to ensure that we're developing good policy to provide some regulations for that. We've also researched the impacts and also the benefits of data centers for the county and what other jurisdictions are doing to regulate them in the region. And then the goal of these policy recommendations are to ensure a balance between economic development and the welfare of the community. And we also would like to implement regulations primarily to address location, design, and energy consumption of these centers. So first off, some of our research, we spoke to lots of different organizations, data center industry professionals. DeKalb has been an excellent partner in this as well. Georgia Power, we've had extensive conversations with, as well as ARC and other jurisdictions in the region. We've also researched general operations of data centers, how they work, and the impacts that existing data centers or these upcoming data centers have had on the region or on their communities. So some of the regional policy examples, City of Atlanta, they define data centers as well as focus on distance requirements, as well as keeping them out of high-density areas or walkable corridors such as the Beltline Overlay District and their proximity to MARTA stations. Fairfax County, Virginia, that has seen a major explosion of data center development, and they, ensure that they have supplemental regulations as well as a noise study and architectural guidelines. Similarly, Buncombe County, also in North Carolina, also permits them in commercial zoning districts and also has those supplemental regulations such as a noise study and architectural guidelines. So we've also researched the different data centers that are existing in the county. There were two we were able to locate. One is in Brookhaven, and this is a very small facility. It's a business that's located in a multi-use office building, so we would consider this an accessory use. It's only about 3,300 square feet. They do have some site impacts with their generators and water system, but generally this is very small. It's just, takes up probably the size of a unit in a multi-use office building. And then the second example is in Dunwoody. This was an existing office building that was converted to house a data center. So that's the sole use at this property. And again, it has some site impacts with their generators and water system. So through our discussions with DeKalb and our research, these are the types of facilities that we would likely see in DeKalb, the size and what we're considering. But however, and they have minimal impacts on the community. However, this facility is what we would call a hyperscale facility. These are anywhere from 100,000 to over 1 million square feet. This is the Meta data center out in Walton County, and this has had significant impacts on the community. Again, through our discussion with Georgia Power, DeKalb, we do feel that we would not have the capacity to accommodate one of these units in the county, just given our land and other infrastructure. But I just wanted to provide it as an example of, the kind of far end of the spectrum. But we and our regulations will address these, but we don't expect to have any of these proposed. Some of the areas we're looking to address are, or some of the policies we're recommending would be separation of data centers from one another, similar to how we've done with other uses in the county. Noise impacts, again, regulate them similarly to other industrial uses in the county. And energy consumption. This is where Georgia Power has been an excellent partner. They already have a very thorough vetting process, and we would just require proof that these developers are in compliance with that process and coordinating with Georgia Power, because a lot of these are large load consumers, and so they might require a separate substation, things like that. And so we just want to make sure that they're going through the formal steps in that process. And then other set of regulations would be design standards to ensure that they have landscape buffers that are maintained between adjacent uses such as residential. Any exposed equipment, such as a substation or these generators, will be screened from view and behind the primary building. And then the architectural design guidelines taken from the self-storage facility regulations to ensure that they're not just these kind of blank box buildings. And finally, here is our use table. We feel the most appropriate land uses would be commercial as well as industrial and light industrial. And so we have we've divided them into 3 different size categories, again, based on the types of developments we've seen in the county. So these small facilities between 5,000 and 20,000 square feet, those would be permitted as accessory uses in office industrial, and then and then permitted in the 2 industrial zoning districts. The medium size, so 20 to 100,000. Would require a special land use permit in office institutional, and light industrial, but then permitted in heavy industrial. And then the large data centers would require a special land use permit in both the light and heavy industrials, and then not be permitted in office institutional. This way, we can ensure that not only the community, but also our board has a say in the development of these very large projects. They have a massive economic impact on the community, but they can also have very negative impacts as well in terms of power supply and water usage and things like that. So those are kind of the broad things that we've been looking at, the high-level review of our policy so far. So I would be happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Long-Spears? Commissioner Terry?
No, thanks for the discussion, Madam Chair. I'll want to hold my comments and thoughts until, I guess, it goes through the process, right? Because y'all are planning to bring it to the August zoning cycle. So this is a little preview.
Yes.
But obviously, there's probably a little more details behind it. So I look forward to hearing what Community Council and Planning Commission says. And then when it comes back to our court, I'll look forward to engaging further.
Great.
Thank
and yes, we are planning on being on the September zoning cycle. So that would take us to the community councils in August. Planning Commission September 9th, and the Board of Commission September 25th. So that's our current timeline. We're still fleshing out some of those fine details, but I think that by the time we take it to Community Council, we'll be ready to get feedback from them and make adjustments as needed.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Patrick?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Because these do have relatively large footprints, is there any consideration, and if you mentioned this, I apologize for not hearing, but any understanding or consideration, I should say, for solar on the solar cells on the roof, something, over parking lots where it's a shaded parking lot for whatever employees or parking requirements they have, but have you guys looked into that?
Yes, we spoke with Georgia Power about that, if they knew of any uses where people have required, or jurisdictions have required solar or something like that. They've mostly seen it, such as the Meta facility. They built a solar farm, not to power their data center, but to kind of mitigate and kind of offset some of that, some of their power usage, and to kind of feed it back into the grid. So that's mostly what we've seen. We are looking into that, but yeah.
And then my next question would be, and I'm not sure this is something appropriate for the zoning ordinance, might be more for Randy and Decide DeKalb, but is there a way to say that if you're coming in here, we want to have some type of a apprenticeship program where you're training our kids on the management of a data center or other large electronic data products that the economy is clearly changing to?
Yes, that not apprenticeship specifically, but we have spoken with Decide DeKalb about just what benefit can we get, because these developers, they want to be here for a reason. We're close to some of the vital infrastructure that they need that helps power our emerging technologies. So kind of how can they sweeten the deal for the county? And I think that would be an excellent idea. I don't know if you want to take that.
Sure. And as we negotiate incentives agreements, if a data center were to request an incentive, that's something that we could negotiate with them.
Okay, all right. And then also, I'm assuming that as it's going through the review process, any project that would be coming here, you guys would say, hey, you're near a park or you're near a trail system, and we'd like you to help contribute to building out that segment
absolutely.
Of the park or that segment of the trail?
Yes, that would be a huge benefit and something that we would definitely discuss with them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Long-Spears?
Thank you so much. I certainly look forward to this item matriculating through the zoning process starting next month. One area that I am interested in, and perhaps you could share with us in advance, and I apologize if you already mentioned it, I was putting out a fire, but the slide that's addressing environmental and community impacts. If you could just send us, some of it I think are intuitive, and we talked today, of course, about some of the water issues. If you could just send us some more information, or at least me, some more information about what your concerns are about those
Yes.
environmental and community impacts.
Yes, absolutely. We can share that with you.
Great, thank you so much.
Commissioner Bolton?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I was also concerned about whether we could benefit from any apprenticeship or career opportunities, so thank you for asking that question. And I'm not familiar with how data centers are orchestrated, but as far as you know, is there any technology to where we can recycle recycle the water, rather than just send it to waste? Are you familiar with that?
Yes, so I think some of the earlier facilities, these kind of older developments, are very water intensive. They tend to just cycle through the water and put it back into the wastewater system. But a lot of them are getting better with recycling their own water and drawing less water and then being able to reuse it. So I think that is something that where the field is kind of evolving a little bit and improving on. And so we just need to kind of go, project by project and learn more about what system they're using. So, yeah.
And to the extent that you can answer this question, to a healthy community with a healthy infrastructure, I'm sure it will be minimal impact to the community. But considering that we are in I'm gonna call it a state of emergency, because we have a 10 by 10 right now, and to bring in even smaller data centers early on in the process of us restructuring, do you anticipate that will have more of a negative impact because of the state of our infrastructure right now?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how to answer that. I do think there's a greater impact on communities with well water, because especially during construction, because it can impact kind of like the ground system. That's mostly what I've seen in the research is that especially when it comes to water. When it comes to power, like I said, Georgia Power has a really great process, a really great vetting process to ensure that there's adequate supply for power. But when it comes to water, that is definitely where it gets a little trickier, and that's what we're hoping to address with these regulations.
Thank you so much. I yield back.
Commissioner Terry? Patrick?
He's got the beard. I don't. Beardless.
I'm looking at you, but I was just
Glasses.
thinking about you. This is the conversation that I really appreciated and, hope to be able to have. So I was thinking about Commissioner Terry. My apologies, Commissioner Patrick.
Just wanted to follow up to Commissioner Bolton's question, which is a good question. I'll say that through Decide DeKalb and DeKalb County, in the past, there was an agreement with PepsiCo where they were to commit a certain amount of dollars to upgrading the water system, and we threw in matching dollars. And so it's entirely possible that there may be a scenario between the CEO's office, Decide DeKalb, that any improvements, perhaps they also contemplate system-wide improvements, the 60-mile loop type talk. That might be some of the things that are beneficial. It could come out of those conversations. So good point to raise.
Right. Yes, again, I appreciate the conversation and the opportunities, in hopes that we'll still have them soon enough. Again, just thinking about some of the conversations that I've had with other commissioners that have experienced some of the challenges looking at, things in its entirety related to the data centers was, concerns about the assignments and making sure that we limit assignments, and to the extent that takes place, that there was addressing for a clawback, and then also penalties in terms of liquidated in the form of liquidated damages. Again, we talked about the benefits to the community and making sure that component exists. Trying to decipher who enforces any of the violations related to the data centers. And being able to be mindful and monitor any decreases in kilowatts, and trying to have a system for compensation and addressment of that. So there is obviously a lot to consider, and I appreciate everyone's input, and we'll continue to work behind the scenes now and be able to make some modifications related to it. So is there anything additional that you guys would like to share? Randy, I just wanted to, again, I appreciate you guys' time. I was trying to be mindful of the fact that, there were some time considerations and make sure that I got it on my, we heard this in PECS and, brought the parties to the table to be able to have a robust conversation. So I just want to make sure you had opportunity to do that.
No, just thank you for considering this issue. It's something that is really important and it is happening across Metro Atlanta. So we want to make sure that we get this right.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you so much, and thank you for your questions. And please reach out. We're happy to meet and discuss further with any of you.
Thank you.
And I would just add that we will have a staff report that goes into a lot more detail in terms of the research that we've done and what we found, and that will go along with our recommendation and that draft. We do hope to have that draft ready about 2 weeks before Community Council, so that'll be posted on our website, be distributed to Community Council, and be available to read in detail.
Fantastic. I just want us to, work collaboratively to get on top of this as much as we can. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. With that, we have, and I'm going into Commissioner Terry's time. I appreciate it. I'm going to, if he would permit me, do I have 10 more minutes? Are we good for 10 minutes?
I think we actually have a pretty light agenda again for FAB, so you could probably go till 4:15.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. So we have Mr. Pete Walker from the DeKalb Housing Authority. Thank you so much, Mr. Walker, for joining us.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Great afternoon.
Pleasure to meet some of you and see some of you again. So just glad to have this opportunity. Am I speaking into the? Glad to have this opportunity to discuss the Housing Authority, introduce you to myself. I'll give you a little bit of my background. I'm originally from Thomaston, Georgia. I was born in Thomaston, Georgia. We moved up here when I was very young and lived in DeKalb County most of my life. My background is I've started working in tax-exempt bond finance back in 1989 and worked my way. I was an investment banker at one point and worked my way into Invest Atlanta, which has become, well, it was originally IRFA, then it was Invest Atlanta, and now it's, then it was Atlanta Development Authority, and then it's Invest Atlanta now. But anyway, long background in that type of finance. And happy to now be with the Housing Authority of DeKalb County. I've been there since 2010. And we have a document that I've shared, and hopefully you have it on your screens that you can look at and we can kind of go through it.
Yes.
So one thing that you'll notice is that we
and I just want to make sure that we have the clicker nearby.
Okay.
All right, fantastic.
Okay, good. Yeah, one thing that you'll notice is that we use the trade name of Affiliated Resources Group, and that's because we're a number of different organizations within. We've been very fortunate that we've been able to expand what we do, not only just the Housing Authority, but we do have other entities that we work with. And I'll try to move it along quickly because I know you guys are pressed for time here. But this is a 60-page document, but I'll go through it very quickly. So if I go to ARG affiliates, so Housing Authority of DeKalb County is obviously the lead company. Housing Development Corporation, Resident Services Corporation, and PTS Consulting Group. Obviously, the Housing Authority administers Housing Choice Voucher Program throughout DeKalb County. You'll see some of the data on that. Housing Development Corporation, that's our nonprofit development arm. And we needed to set that up so that we could, there's really a gap in financing. HUD does not provide enough money for us to be able to proficiently operate. So that allows us to not only direct and do a good job of creating high quality, affordable housing, but it also allows us to make a little bit of money from those type transactions. And then we have the Resident Services Corporation, which is our, the way that we pay back. I mean, we put over $400,000 a year into resident services for our clientele. And PTS Consulting, that was, we found that we were kind of leaders throughout the nation in what we were doing as a housing authority. So we help other housing authorities in doing that. So that's our consulting aspect. You can see our board currently consists of 6 members. Our chair is Carlene Cumberbatch. And then there's Dr. Thomas Coleman, Dr. Glenwood Ross, Mr. Charles Yee, who is actually one of our, he's a resident. He's our resident commissioner. Commissioner Yvette Hudson, she used to be one of our resident commissioners, but she graduated from the program, and she's now just a regular commissioner. And then Mr. Lawrence Sharp, Jr. That's just a message from me. We don't need to go through all that. It's, we'll make sure that you get properly introduced to the organization. We wanted to talk a little bit about Phoenix Station. It's a great example of what we do at the Housing Authority. We are a partner in this particular transaction. It is currently just finished getting its permits, certificates of occupancy, 244 units located across from Kensington Station. So it is a typical of what the type of thing that we do. We're in partnership. We have some vouchers on there, but it's 244 units of, and it was tax credit financed, so 60% or below of area median income. Those are just our assets, so you can see some indication of the size of the Housing Authority. And this is, if you look at fiscal year 24 and 23, our assets are currently over $345 million. Our operating revenue is almost $80 million. Last year was $89 million the year before. You can see that at the end of the day, we last year in 2023, we made $20 million profit, and then in 2024, it looks like we lost $9 million, but we really didn't. What happened is we had to recognize bond issuance costs and interest expense while not being able to recognize the revenue because it was not audited. So that's a long story, but we didn't lose $9 million. Won't go into our various departments. This particular document is our year-end review document, so it outlines pretty much everything that we do as an organization. We'll just skip on to when we get to our Housing Choice Voucher Program, which I think is, we're definitely leading edge in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. One of the things that we're most proud of is we're now paperless. We spent 3 years making copies of all of the documents that we had there, millions of pieces of paper. But now we are a paperless organization. Some of the things that I like to talk about is under the program, we administer 5,800, at the end of 2024, we were administering 5,836 vouchers, of which 1,008 were incoming. Well, I'm sorry, in addition to that, incoming portable vouchers of 1,008. Okay, so we have vouchers that people from all over the country, as a matter of fact, it's over 300 other authorities that have, that people come here and live in, and we administer the vouchers and get a fee from them, but they still have the vouchers from Des Moines, Iowa, Minnesota, Washington State, California, Chicago, everywhere. So a lot of people want to live in DeKalb County. A lot of great information there. 44% of the households live on a fixed income. The average family pays $285 a month. The average amount that we pay on behalf of them is $974 a month. We serve over 16,000 individuals. County gives you the breakdown of the various programs: Housing Choice Voucher, Project-Based Voucher, our VASH program, which we're very proud of. That's the Veterans Homeless Program, VASH. We serve 915 people in that particular program. We also have youth aging out of foster care. We have a homeless demonstration program, a family unification program. We actually have a home ownership program through the voucher program, emergency housing voucher, and then those port-ins, those 1,000 units represent 4,185 people. The average annual income for non-working families is $13,278, and the average working household income is $28,087. And as you can see, the average annual income for the elderly, fixed income families, $14,628. Lots of other information about the 5,836 families that we house. We had 981 new participants. 30 participants graduated from the program, which we're very proud of. That means that they had zero HAP for more than 6 months. And we're always proud of those who graduate from the program because it's a very difficult thing to do because there's such a steep, the cliff effect happens for people. Whenever you lose, you pretty much lose everything once you lose the. So we're happy that 30 people were able to graduate from the program. 43% of the households include children. 1,456 households participants work, and 342 ended participation in the program for various reasons. They didn't necessarily graduate, but they ended participation in the program. 91% of the non-elderly and non-disabled households are working families. That's kind of a misnomer about the Section 8 program is that a lot of people don't work, but 90% of the non-elderly and non-disabled households do actually work. And the other is just data about our recertifications that we have. It's our IT department. And then on to our Housing Development Corporation. This is, as I indicated before, our nonprofit development arm. I'll move on to some of the milestones and achievements. Another one of the properties that we worked with the Integral Group on was Veranda at Assembly, beautiful 100-unit property in your area. And then, I'm sorry, let me go back. And then right now, some that are in development are 1086 on Montreal, which is a 168-unit community. Park 500, 556-unit community. Ashford Parkside, Ashford Landing, Robert Graham at Orchard Hill Landing. That's one of the partnerships that we actually helped the city of LaGrange with. We helped them with that one. 1086 on Montreal, that's a picture of the property that we own and manage. Avenues of North Decatur, that's another, we own and manage that one as well. You'll find that we don't go around yelling and screaming that we own stuff. People have sometimes negative connotations when it comes to housing authority. So we want to keep it positive and stay low key, and it has worked for us. This is a single family development that we developed, Avion, in Chambly. And then this is kind of an indication of some of the properties in our portfolio that we own and manage. You'll find that we own and manage over 2,000 properties, and we partially own and manage another 1,000, and we pretty much have our fingers in about 5,000 properties, 5,000 units. So, and then we kind of talk a little bit more about some of the newer developments that we have that haven't been built yet. Claremont Family and Claremont Senior, that is a partnership with Mercy Housing. We've been working with them. I actually used to work at Mercy Housing many years ago. Springview Apartments, that's another one in South DeKalb, and Westbury on Covington Highway that we've been working on for quite some time. That should be in construction this year. They'll be starting construction this year. Our Resident Services Corporation, I'll quickly talk about that. As I indicated before, that's we invest over $400,000 a year in the resident services program, resident services, and that's to make sure that we provide a pathway out of the cycle of poverty for our clientele. We talk about the various programs that we have here. By the way, I will make sure that each of you gets a copy of this book. I just didn't know how many to bring. I'll make sure I mail them to you or bring them to you so you can have a copy of it. And again, I know that you're a little bit pressed for time, but I wanted to make sure that you saw some of the things that we do. We provide education and employment assistance, housing and economic stability assistance, health and wellness assistance. Very proud of what we're doing for our seniors. You can see all the services that we provide there. And again, we've just been able to accomplish a great deal. We're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish with the various entities that we have. And that being said, I'm happy to try to answer any of your questions.
Thank you so much. So appreciate you, Mr. Walker, for sharing this. It just really gives a perspective in terms of, the actions the county's already taken in terms of addressing some of our housing challenges, some of the partners that we're involved in. It is pretty extensive, and to hear that, on average, the citizens that are participating in the programs, paying on average $285, and we're paying, $974. That's amazing in so many ways. So obviously, work's invaluable. I'm going to open it up for my colleagues to see if there's any questions that they have. Commissioner Terry?
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Walker, for the presentation, and I learned a couple new things today, so thank you for helping kind of share some of those numbers and those stats. That's always great to see and understand, especially about the employment piece. I think we heard a lot just in the last couple of weeks about all these people on Medicaid, aren't working and what's wrong with them, and, they are working, and I think a lot of folks who are on government assistance want to work. And, any more barriers.
They don't want to be in this.
Yeah, it's just dignity. And so obviously what y'all are providing is a pathway out of poverty,
Yes.
or for some individuals, like you said, who are fixed income, for various reasons, they need that long-term sustained housing. So thank you for sharing that. I have I got two quick questions, really. They're just kind of a little bit random, but the Housing Development Corporation, so I think, didn't they, or I guess y'all partner on like a cottage tiny home development recently that I think we approved a couple zoning cycles ago?
We're working on that now.
Working on that.
MicroLife.
With MicroLife, yeah.
We hope to be able to duplicate, well, I have to get this one done first, but we hope to be able to duplicate it throughout the county. Because
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
a great partner. I believe this one is 18 units. Working on the financing for that transaction. We're also working with DeKalb, who's been very helpful. So already having a lot of really good partnerships, and hopefully we'll be able to coming out of the ground in January on that one.
Okay. And I think that was sort of a first for y'all, going kind of, because I think a lot of y'all, your projects have been kind of more high-rise and sort of higher density, but this was a lower density one, single-family residential, but obviously in that tiny home cottage cluster. So is that something that y'all are looking to do more of in the future?
Yeah, we'd like to do more. We had a great opportunity, but again, we like the idea of being kind of low-key about a lot of things.
Yes.
We actually developed 170 units called East Side Walk out near McNair High School. A lot of people don't know that, but that was a housing authority that developed that.
Okay, I know that one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And then last one random thing that I noticed the other day, I think I emailed Zach about it, but the Phoenix Station one.
Yes.
So the way, and there's the one next door, is that also the one, are y'all doing that one next door?
Yes, that's actually going to be our headquarters.
That's right, okay.
That's
So
going to be our headquarters.
just a totally random thing I noticed, but it's
Yes.
important. The Phoenix Station sidewalk ends at a retaining wall, and then y'all's new property, your building, starts, and I don't see how we're going to connect
Yeah, we'll fix
the
that.
sidewalks. So,
We won't, nobody have to climb that.
okay, yeah, it's kind of awkward. It's like if someone in a wheelchair would literally have to get
Right,
off the curb and then somehow get back on.
No, we'll
So,
definitely fix that.
but obviously it was just a little design oversight on some engineer, not y'all, but
Right.
someone.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
But that's okay. Okay, great. I appreciate you looking into that.
I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. Commissioner Long-Spears?
Thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation, and thank you, Central Staff, for sending a copy for us. It's in your email, Commissioners, if you want to see it. My question is I have several, but my first question is on your financial statements, FY24 and 23 slide. So your assets from FY23 to FY24 tripled. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes.
And you may have nailed it during the presentation, and I just
didn't.
missed it.
I was
Okay.
blowing through the
Okay.
presentation. So one of the great things that happened in the last 18 months was we got rated by Standard & Poor's. So that means we can issue our own debt.
Okay.
So as a result of being able to issue our own debt, it shows up on our balance sheet. We actually have a lot more assets than this, but it doesn't show up on our balance sheet because they're tax credit partnerships. So all those partnerships, we're only 0.01, 0.02% owner, but we control those tax credit partnerships. They just don't show up on our balance sheet. But when we actually borrow the money on our balance sheet that is rated, we're rated A+ by Standard & Poor's. So Kensington, which is the one that Commissioner Terry was referring to, that's, I think, a $105 million bond issue. We did another $95 million bond issue for Park 500, then we do another 40 million, I can't remember the exact numbers, but we did another for 1086 on Montreal, and another one for the one on North Decatur Road. I can't remember the name of that one either. They all run together for me. But yeah, so that's how it tripled.
Okay,
We
all
had
right.
some of it on, the 112 actually had the North Decatur transaction on there.
All right, thank you for that explanation. My next question is about your operating revenue. Looks like it has gone down from FY '23 to '24 by roughly 10 million. Is that right? Yeah, 10 million.
Yes.
Can you tell me why?
Well, okay, it's a couple of things. Number one, well, one of the things, we actually had a gain on a sale of asset, which is $26 million. So if you take that out, that our revenue would have been $63 million. If you take that out, 63 versus the 79. So the gain on sale, we just didn't sell anything in that year.
So the
that was-
26 million is what threw it off,
26
basically?
million is what kind of threw it off.
Okay, all right.
But I will say that one of the reasons why I was I'm trying to be pretty precise in answering the question is because HUD sometimes they're up and down in their funding. They always catch up. I don't know about now, but they always catch up, but they're up and down in their funding.
All right. Thank you very much. And then my next question is, it looks like that we're in a deficit of $9 million this year.
And that was, the end of fiscal year '24.
Yep.
And so I tried to explain that with, if you look down to the operating expenses, you'll see bond issuance costs paid of $5,280,272.
I do see that.
And that's
And
because they made
interest.
us recognize all of those various bond issues we did, all the cost of issuance in 1 year, rather than amortizing it over 30 years, which is
Okay.
normal. Like when I was in Invest Atlanta, we always amortized over 30 years, but that's because it wasn't on our balance sheet. So according to our accountants, GAAP requires them to do that. I don't understand, given the matching principle, I don't understand that at all, because it isn't matching expenses and revenues. In addition to that, if you look at the next line, interest expense, $5,284,000, they said that we had to recognize all the interest expense, but we couldn't recognize, because that was calculable. Because we owed, you could see how much we owed, but they could not recognize the revenue because it wasn't audited.
Okay. Are you anticipating a deficit this year, by the
No.
end of this year? Or you
No.
think we'd be back up again?
We'll be back up again this year.
Okay, okay, glad to hear that. My next question is down to the projects. Just give me a moment. Normally I take notes on the printed version, and we didn't have a printed version. Okay. I'm looking for the properties in District 2. So you mentioned one off of Claremont, I believe. That might be D1, though.
Yeah, I think that one isn't developed yet. It's on 5th and 6th, on Claremont between 5th and 6th Street. That's our partnership with Mercy Housing. It's just past the hangar,
Okay,
just past the hangar on the right if you're going north on Claremont.
there we go. Claremont Family.
Yeah, Claremont Family and Claremont Senior. That's actually, believe it or not, we'll have 2 developments on that block.
And where did you say it's at?
If you're going north on Claremont, right when you're getting past Peachtree DeKalb, that last hangar,
Uh-huh.
there's a block of land to the
Oh.
right there.
Okay.
We're going to put 2 different developments on that block.
Okay. Was that ever or currently FAA property?
Not that I know of,
Okay.
no.
All right. Well, I don't want to hold up this meeting any further. I'll go ahead and just pause, and if I have any other follow-up questions as
Yeah,
I'm
feel
looking
free to
through
just
this.
reach out
Okay.
directly to me.
Great. Thank you. Yield back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Bolton?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. You guys are doing a great deal of work, and you have some beautiful facilities that we can be proud of. One of the things I did want to ask about is the VASH, the Veterans Vouchers. From my understanding, sometimes even though they have the vouchers, there's difficulty in finding housing. Is there anything we can do to make sure the stock is available, or what is that process?
Yeah, it's a great question because we were for years, and it's a combination of things that changed that. We were in 55% utilization, something like that. In other words, we have 700 vouchers available for VASH, and we were less than 350. Okay, so there was a big change at the VA, which really helped. I think they began to interpret the rules a little bit differently. I didn't ask too many questions. All I knew was they sent more people to us. And they also provided more support for them. But what we did on our end was our staff, that VASH staff is really dedicated. They're on the phones calling landlords and trying to make sure that they understand and who's going to be there, and it's a veteran and all that. So our staff has really picked up. So to answer your question about what the county could do, it's really not that much you could do other than, I guess we all work together. It's already happening, right? Quite honestly, is we're all really doing a great job of working together with Zach and the new chief development officer, and I think we're going to have a chief housing officer, and we'll be able to work together on making sure there's opportunity, because in our view, the biggest problem that we have in DeKalb is a lack of high quality affordable housing. We do have affordable housing, it's just not good quality. We need to have high quality affordable housing. So that's what we're working on increasing right now. And the staff, I will say, has been doing a great job of working with us on that.
Wonderful. And just to add to what you were saying, or I have a question based on what you were saying, when we don't have the stock available, is there a referral program with any of the other metro counties, or they just kind of have to be on the waiting list?
Well, it's specifically for our county.
Okay.
Whenever it's our voucher, it's specifically for our county initially. They can go somewhere else after a year here, but if it's our voucher, they have to be in our county initially.
And with the housing availability that you just demonstrated to us, is the intention to help these families transition maybe into single-family homes, or is this accepted as permanent or long-term housing for them?
Well, we would hope that they all transition into being homeowners at some point. And that's a step-by-step process. Initially being able to pay all of their rent, and then being able to live in an apartment, like I said, paying all their rent, and then potentially at some point becoming a homeowner. I did mention that we have had, I believe, 31 families become homeowners through this program.
So is there a limit on how long they can make this their primary domicile?
There's no limit, and that's one of the things that we applied to become what they call a moving to work agency. Mm-hmm. And the ideas that we set forth were not, HUD was not in agreement with us. We wanted to have a 5 to 7 year program, and basically not really penalizing people for moving up. Continue to give them the right amount, what we felt like was the right amount of help along the way until they can, in other words, eliminate the cliff effect. Okay, that's what we wanted to do. But HUD decided to, in their second round of moving to work, to have I think it was an 18-year program, and at any time, if you lost your job, you start 18 years over again. So it was pretty much the same thing we have now. So we was like, that's okay. We didn't want to waste our time with that program. So hopefully they will begin to have mechanisms to provide not only an opportunity for people, but really some resources for people to get out of the cycle of poverty. Right now, we just honestly don't have that. People just have to have the will to get out of it, the cycle of poverty.
And my last question is just that with all of the units total, are we at capacity? Are there any vacancies or availability for new families to find housing with us?
Well, so we have, whenever we open up our wait list, it's always over 20,000 people. Well, actually, it was 60,000 last time. We've gotten it down to 20,000 people. So,
All native to DeKalb?
no,
Or are they coming from other places?
From other places.
Oh,
It's
okay.
probably about 10,000 from DeKalb. So it's the need is tremendous, and that's one reason why we began to try to attack this problem in using additional resources, because we were focusing on tax credit transactions, which, you know, you get allocation from the Department of Community Affairs. The most you can create is 300 to 500 units a year if you're really lucky. But by becoming rated, and hopefully we plan on trying to work with the county hand in hand and doing some housing opportunity bonds or something like that, we can begin to have 1,000 or 2,000, which, you know, still at least is a boulder in the ocean instead of a pebble. That's the way we look at it.
And we prioritize DeKalb residents
Yes.
over, okay, wonderful. That's what I like to hear. Thank you, sir. I yield back.
Thank you so much, Mr. Walker, for your time. Again, I mean, 60% below median income, and it's interesting because we have discussions in terms of affordable housing or housing that's affordable. You know, sometimes developers, they will talk about 10% or even 20% below median income, or just a number of units that are either at market rate or below, you know, market rate. And people sometimes misinterpret, you know, just what the need really is. And so to be able to have programs and where we're considering and housing folks at 60%, and then we have more exciting, you know, projects and works, you know, in line. It's just, I'm glad that DeKalb is making sure that they're apparently leading the charge and getting, you know, huge, you know, high ratings and being very innovating in terms of addressing the project. I mean, the actual issue, right? The problem. So thank you again for your time, and I appreciate you. Looking forward to being able to have more conversations in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right,
And with that, I have exhausted my time that Commissioner Terry has graciously shared. We have some items that we'll address during our special called meeting that we're having on housing, which case was originally scheduled for the 17th, but just based on a collaboration and some additional hires that we have coming in, we're actually going to reschedule that to August. They're coming in on August, so we intend to have that meeting in August so that it could be more comprehensive, be able to bring, you know, all of our partners and folks together so we can have a more robust conversation. And I think that leaves just a handful, not even of previously heard items, and we will address that at our next PECS meeting.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner?
Yeah, just a question about that, sort of the schedule, because a few of these items I was hoping that we could try to take care of before the special call meeting, which I think you said is now going to be in August. So could I just ask Commissioner Patrick and/or the Law Department in regard to the trio of nuisance abatement ordinances? Have y'all done all of your reviews, and is there anything else that y'all have to do before you're ready to say this is ready for prime time?
So I will address that. Again, we're going to address these during some of these on our special call. We're going to end the meeting. To that end, we've had Commissioner Patrick and I, we've had a conversation related to those items, and they were anticipating to be addressed during our special call, but they were. But I'll let you, Commissioner Patrick, go ahead and share that information.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Terry, great question. Want to make sure that there's coordination with the CEO's office on these 3 items in particular. She has some rollout ideas that she has as well, and so this is a good opportunity to work with her on that. As I've said in the past, we can write a lot of ordinances and laws for people to follow, but we also need to have that conversation about ramping up code enforcement, because it's going to be code enforcement in particular when it comes to the tax component to this, of documenting. We've reached out, we've gone through these milestones so that we can get before the courts to be able to say, now you're going to get however many times the regular taxes on your property because it's not being maintained. But like I said, that also requires a lot of coordination with the CEO's office. So that's what we're looking to do. The other
question
thing
is are these 3 items, are they ready for prime time? Or is the law department still doing their review?
I believe that 2 of them most definitely, I think, should be ready to go. The 3rd one, and this is a question I've been having with Ms. Agner, some details on the permitting for the vacant buildings, or the boarding up buildings component to this. And so that is definitely still being fleshed out as the last time we talked, if I recall. But again, the coordination with the CEO's office is one thing I'm looking to do. And then for the special call that's on the 17th, I will actually be out of town.
August. It's now in August.
Yes, but the original one for the 17th was going to be difficult for me to attend, and I also wanted to be there for that. So,
okay. Well, I'll just share, because we've all been at the meetings for the last 8 months. We have one individual who's advocating for his community, Mr. Musgrave.
Absolutely.
And literally, I think me and you talked about this ordinance because of what he brought up in October. So just keep in mind that when we delay doing this, like the implementation date is 6 months later. So when I hear we have to get ready for something, what I'm hearing is we have to hurry up and think some more. This thing, if we approved it next week, it still would take 6 months to implement anyways. So just keep in mind, everything we do here still has another 6 months till actual implementation. So this idea that we have to get everything ready, I understand it, but we've had this on our agenda for 8 months.
Yes.
And what are we getting ready for? we're hurrying up and waiting.
Right.
So I mean, and these are time sensitive and also take a long time. So when someone says we need to do a blight in our community, and the code compliance says, well, we can only do so much, the commissioners need to pass this ordinance, and then we say, well, we need to hurry up and think about it.
Respectfully, there's other components that are within there. We adopted the International Property Maintenance Code, which...
But it's not working, though, so...
It does work, but again, it comes back to we have to have enough staff to be able to consistently go out there and enforce it. Courts like to see things like consistency of time of driving by, also some randomness involved with that. So I hear what you're saying, and give it the moment that it needs, but this will be, when it's ready to roll out, something that hopefully will be defensive. Well,
okay.
You don't have to hold your breath, Ted. It's okay.
No, I'll die.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say that I know that some constituents and some of the commissioners feel like, they've been dealing with this for a while. It's obviously not an easy fix, and particularly newer commissioners, we haven't been dealing with it for as long and need an opportunity to be able to weigh in. I mean, I would say from an expedient perspective, where there's certain things where it's felt as though should have been passed by now, there are things that could have been arguably passed before we came on. And it was to allow for the new commissioners to come on, be able to participate, understand what's going on, and be able to weigh in. So respectfully, it's just allowing that opportunity. And I will say for me, particularly, I want to ensure that the players that need to participate are able to do so. And as Commissioner Patrick has shared, that takes, as we know, working collaboratively with the administration. And so we have new folks that are coming on and have come on, and we're going to work it out. Again, you want something done fast, you do it yourself. If you want it done right, then you do it together. And we're just aiming to be impactful and appreciate your patience. With that, I appreciate Ms. Stacy Greer. She was going to give us an update on GIS. I'm sorry, my apologies. I'm sorry, because I'm looking at the hair, but behind you, and my apologies. So I appreciate your time, and my apologies, but we tried to get through as much as possible. With that, I will entertain a motion.
I have a couple of comments before we adjourn.
Commissioner Long-Spear.
Thank you. So, yes, Madam Chair, you have referred to items that have been on the PECS agenda for a very, very, very long time. Obviously, the housing items, there are, I think, 4 that have been approved, or excuse me, one of them actually was recommended out of committee, which is the Community Land Trust, and then we have several other items that have remained off of the agenda since January. So I just want to point out, we are in July of this year. So I recognize that it does take time to, quote unquote, wrap your arms around things and to better understand. But my suggestion at some point is that we have to do the people's work. The housing crisis is not going away. What should have been done yesterday is now being pushed forward to be done whenever we can get to it. The agreement was to discuss these items initially when we agreed was to be on a previous PECS agenda. Well, we ended up spending all our time on presentations and never got to those items. Then the plan was to have a July 17th special called meeting. I was advised last week that special called meeting is being rescheduled due to a new position coming on board with the administration in August. But again, I just want to emphasize that by the time we get to some of these items, they will have been delayed for 8 months. My second point is item 0751, which is the constitution of a DeKalb Arts and Culture Council, has now been on the PECS agenda. I believe this is the 3rd time it's been on the PECS agenda and we haven't gotten to it. So if we could hear this item early on in the next PECS meeting so that we could at least start some dialogue around that.
Okay.
Thank you. Yield back to you.
Thank you so much. Again, I'll reiterate the same point. It's important to work collaboratively, whereas there's a request and conversations related to working with the administration and trying to address this huge elephant, then that's what I'm going to suggest that we do. And so even though it's been, I guess at this point, the argument 8 months, there are things that could have moved forward if that's the case, prior to. We're going to just work this out. I don't see the expedience, and we understand it's a huge issue, but even to the point where we just had housing to come and present to us in terms of what's being afforded presently for our constituents, and we're dealing with housing. So it's not as though we're not addressing and dealing with the issue. That's the whole point in having some of the conversations that we're having and making sure that people are able to share the information that's necessary so that we can make the best decision. So with that, that is our position presently, and
your position.
And
yes.
the position has never changed. It's been.
It's your position, not our
Excuse
position.
me. So with
Speak
that,
for yourself, please.
I'm sorry. I said my position, and I'm
You said
speaking.
our position.
Excuse me. Commissioner Terry, on that note, I will entertain a motion. I'm just
So moved.
Second.
adjourned.
All in favor? Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right.